Hi, my name is Leanne and I am currently studying for the SPI, so I just figured I could make a video and let you study along with me. I'm going to be using a few different sources. Questions are going to come from Davies, the Edelman Workbook, Understanding Ultrasound Physics by Edelman, and also 500 physics questions that are printed off from the ARDMS. This is from circa 2008, and I don't know if they even have this on their website or how I got a hold of it, honestly. So let's rapid fire drill and get to studying. The anterior surface of the bladder is located at a depth of 1 centimeter in the patient you are imaging. You can see multiple reverberation echoes in the bladder. What is the depth of the first reverberation between the bladder and the transducer? A, 0.5 centimeters, B, 1 centimeter, C, 1.5 centimeters, D, 2 centimeters, E, 2.5 centimeters, B, 1 centimeter. Reverberations occur at equidistant intervals. If the distance with first reverberation echo will be seen 1 centimeter deeper than the stress, so it will be seen at 2 centimeters. The next reverberation will be 3 centimeters and the next 4. The artifact described in the previous questions requires which of the following to be present? A different propagation speed at the interface, emissions of a second pulse before the reflections have arrived from the first pulse, strong reflector, highly attenuating reflector, or wide elevational plane. So you will need a strong reflector because a mirror image artifact occurs because of reverberation reflectors. In this case, the reflectors are the diaphragm and the cyst. When the ultrasound is reflected from the diaphragm, it must pass through the cyst again on its way back to the transducer. And because the cyst walls are strong reflectors, they reflect some of the ultrasound back down to the diaphragm through. The reflected sound strikes the diaphragm again and is redirected back to the transducer. And since the reverberated sound has traveled further, cyst to diaphragm, cyst to diaphragm, cyst to transducer, it takes longer for the transducer to receive this echo. Since the depth of the reflector is determined by counting its round trip time, the system determines that it was reflected from a deeper structure and places the corresponding image deeper on the screen, creating a mirror effect. The waveform you obtain from the internal carotid artery demonstrates aliasing. If you increase the pulse rate to correct the aliasing, what artifact is most likely to be encountered? A multipath reflection, spectrum mirror image, propagation speed error, range ambiguity, refraction. Range ambiguity. So if pulses are transmitted very high PRF, it becomes increasingly larger from one pulse will arrive at the transducer after another pulse has been transmitted. Since the system assumes that all reflections are related to the most recently transmitted pulse, the echo will be misplaced closer to the transducer face than its actual location. This is because the system will think it took much less time to arrive than it actually did. This phenomenon is called range ambiguity. What is the source of the enhancement artifact? Enhancement artifact is from a decreased attenuation through a weakly attenuated structure. Let's move on to a few questions from Edelman. As sound propagates through a medium, the total power in the wave decreases. What is this entire process called? It's called attenuation. A sound propagates through a medium, the total power in this wave decreases. What is this entire process called? Attenuation. Attenuation is determined by which of the following factors? Density and stiffness of the medium, frequency of sound and propagation speed, PRF of sound, and path length and frequency of sound. Attenuation is determined by the distance the sound travels, and the frequency of sound. An acoustic wave is traveling through soft tissue. Its intensity undergoes 6 decibels of attenuation. How does the final intensity of the wave relate to the intensity of the wave when it started its journey? When a wave undergoes 6 decibels of attenuation, the intensity of the wave is decreased to 1/4 of its initial value. The term attenuation means to weaken or reduce, so attenuation always describes a reduction in the intensity of the wave. 6 decibels of attenuation is made up of 2 groups of -3 decibels. Each -3 decibel indicates a halving of intensity. 1/2 multiplied by 1/2 means only 1/4 of the original intensity remains. Which of the following is not one of the physical processes that contributes to attenuation of ultrasound waves passing through soft tissues? Reflection, redirection of sound in many directions, focusing, conversion of acoustic energy to heat. So focusing does not contribute to the attenuation process, but reflection, redirection of sound in many directions, and conversion of acoustic energy into heat do play an effect in attenuation. An acoustic pulse reflects from a very smooth boundary where the irregularities on the surface of the boundary are much smaller than the pulse's length. What type of reflection is most likely to occur under these circumstances? A partial reflection, Rayleigh reflection, or scatter, specular, total. So reflections from a smooth boundary are specular. A mirror is a specular reflector. The waves strike the smooth boundary and reflect in an organized systematic manner. They're smooth when the irregularities in its surface are smaller than the wavelength of the incident ultrasonic beam. Which of the following is considered a Rayleigh scatterer? Bone, liver, muscle, blood cell. Blood cell. To which of the following is Rayleigh scattering related? Half of the wavelength, square root of propagation speed, frequency to the 4th, or PRF to the 2nd. The degree to which a wave exhibits Rayleigh scattering is related to frequency raised to the 4th power. That is, if the frequency is twice as high, Rayleigh scattering is increased 16-fold. As a pulse passes through soft tissue, a certain amount of acoustic energy remains in that tissue as heat. What is the amount of attenuation per centimeter that a sound wave undergoes? Beam uniformity coefficient, attenuation coefficient, attenuation duty factor. The attenuation coefficient reports a sound beam's decibel of attenuation per centimeter. That is a useful tool when its value remains constant regardless of the actual path length. A sound beam travels 9 centimeters in soft tissue. The attenuation coefficient is 3 decibels per centimeter. What is the total attenuation that the sound beam experienced? So to calculate attenuation, you have to multiply the path length by the attenuation coefficient. This example gave us 3 decibels, and you times that by 9 centimeters, the depth, and you get 27 decibels. And so that will be, the overall attenuation would be 27. The attenuation of an acoustic wave traveling through bone is blank its attenuation through soft tissue. The attenuation of ultrasound in bone is greater than the attenuation in soft tissue. True or false? Attenuation and propagation speed are unrelated. True. Attenuation and propagation speed are entirely unrelated. Attenuation is the weakening of a beam as it travels and has nothing to do with how fast it travels. Which 2 attributes help establish the acoustic impedance in a medium? Density and stiffness. To calculate the acoustic impedance of a medium, one should blank the blank by the blank. So to calculate the acoustic impedance of a medium, one should multiply the density by the propagation speed. Which of the following describes an angle with a measure of 123 degrees? Obtuse. So obtuse is any angle that measures greater than 90 degrees. Which of the following describes an angle with a measurement of 45 degrees? Acute. Any angle that measures less than 90 is an acute angle. The angle between the direction of propagation and the boundary between 2 media is 90 degrees. What term describes the form of incidence of the wave? Orthogonal. Orthogonal incidence is attained when a sound wave strikes a boundary between the media at exactly 90 degrees. Which term does not belong in the group below? Orthogonal, at right angles, oblique, 90 degrees, normal, perpendicular. Oblique does not belong to the group. Orthogonal, at right angles, 90 degrees, normal, and perpendicular are synonymous. A sound wave strikes a boundary between two media at a 60-degree angle. This is called oblique incidence. Which term has a meaning other than normal incidence? Oblique incidence. Oblique incidence occurs when a wave strikes a boundary at any angle other than 90 degrees. So while normal incidence occurs when the wave strikes a boundary at exactly 90 degrees. What are the units of the intensity transmission coefficient? Watts per square centimeter, watts, decibels, none of the above. So it's none of the above. The intensity transmission coefficient is defined as a percentage of the ultrasound beam's intensity, and it is reported without units. What are the units of the intensity reflection coefficient? None. Again, it's a percentage.